Tonight, shake, rattle, and roll.
This has essentially shifted, and every time these buses go by, it shifts a little more.
Why people in Transcona are becoming fed up with the wheels on the bus going round and round. Also tonight.
At this time, we believe the male victim was targeted by the suspects and that the female victim was killed for being at that specific residence.
2 people arrested on opposite ends of the country in connection to a double homicide in Manitoba's cottage country. Plus, the cost of bad advice.
Tax filing is the doorway to benefits.
A scathing report shows the CRA regularly doles out incorrect information, how much it could be costing you.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
A shakeup for Winnipeg transit routes are causing shaking at several Winnipeg homes. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. This past June, the city of Winnipeg made a massive change to Winnipeg Transit. The overhaul removed hundreds of stops and realigned routes all around the city. The idea was to make commute times faster, but residents on one Transcona street say they're now seeing more buses and it's damaging their homes. To explain, CTV's John Hendricks joins us now live. John, how are these buses impacting homes?
Well, Marilee, people say they're seeing a lot more buses coming down the road. Now, some of them are those double-length articulated buses. I could feel the vibrations myself as one of them sped by. And residents believe that all that shaking is causing cracks in their walls. If you're looking to catch a bus on Victoria Avenue East, you'll have plenty of chances. They rumble by every few minutes. And the bus's frequent presence isn't just being seen in the neighborhood. Residents say it's being felt.
We have cupboard shaking, we got a wall shaking, we have seismic damage showing up, we have cracks on this side of the wall.
Aaron Ween says the problems began at the end of June, when the city altered bus routes around the city as part of its new transit network. Suddenly, more buses started going down the 2-lane residential street, some double-sized articulated buses.
It's twice as much weight, twice as much energy.
Energy Weens and others believe is being transferred into the homes on Victoria Avenue East.
The house rattles. If I have any pictures on my far wall, they will fall off.
And it wasn't just pictures on the wall reacting to the buses going by. A crack emerged on Jade Ducharme's window, and a crack is now on Aaron Ween's garage.
That's new. We got one like I said, we got one of the foundation runs right across.
The city and transit have to do something. This is just crazy.
And that something is for Winnipeg Transit to take the buses off their street. And soon.
Maybe they've got too many buses for the frequency there. Maybe they don't have enough, probably too many. But they'll be reviewing that. If they have to remove some of the buses, they will.
J.S. Luke says that while the review is ongoing, reducing the speed of the buses on this street could be a short-term solution. If you recall, Transit asked drivers on Arlington to slow down in response to concerns expressed by residents there. Luke says that Transit will be working with the drivers and with residents to sort through all of this.
So what is Transit then saying about these concerns, John?
Marilee, in a statement to CTV News, a spokesperson tells us in part that our planners did consider sending the FX3 down Pandora Avenue East. However, there are fewer potential passengers on that road, and it's already served by a feeder route. Having service on both Victoria Avenue East and Pandora Avenue East means shorter walks to reach a stop for people living and working on either side of both of those streets. It also goes on to say we are not considering changing the route at this time.
Okay, thanks for this, John. The city is testing a new method to repair bus shelters ahead of winter. Crews are beginning to install polycarbonate panels at 30 high-use shelters, 3 of which are already done. The city says the material is about 15% more expensive than safety glass, but is 250 times more impact resistant. In the past 5 years, broken shelter glass has cost the city more than $1 million.
In the big picture, I think it's a very wise investment, because if you think about the replacement, not only the glass, just the people's time to put in the bus shelter glass, clean it up, go clean it up, come back, put it in, reorder it. There's a lot of manpower time too. So if we just do this and see how it goes, I'm optimistic it's going to work.
The city says it will monitor how the new panels work over the winter, with the option to expand to more shelters in the new year. 2 men are charged with second-degree murder for the shooting deaths of 2 people in a Manitoba beach town. It happened this summer in Victoria Beach, northeast of the city, on the shores of Lake Winnipeg. And while the incident happened here in Manitoba, RCMP arrested the suspects at opposite ends of the country. CTV's Daniel Helmerson joins us now live with those details. Daniel, what did we learn from Mounties today?
Well, Marilee, police say the 2 suspects took off after the shooting, one eventually ending up in Abbotsford, BC, and the other in New Minas, Nova Scotia.
I can say that the suspects and victims were known to each other, and at this time we believe the male victim was targeted by the suspects and that the female victim was killed for being at that specific residence in Victoria Beach when the suspects arrived.
The shooting happened in Victoria Beach on June 20th. 41-year-old Melissa Wilson and 29-year-old Sly Thiebert were shot and killed in the early morning at a property in the community. RCMP say they started tracking the 2 suspects days after the shooting while gathering evidence here in Manitoba. On October 7th, 28-year-old Mitchell Johansson of Grand Marais was arrested in Abbotsford. And just earlier today, Nathaniel Moore Harrison, a 31-year-old man from the RM of St. Clements, was arrested in New Minas. Both are charged with second-degree murder, and those charges have not been tested in court.
While 2 arrests have been made, we are confident that there are people in the Victoria Beach and Travis Bay area who have additional information as to what occurred that evening. Now is the time to come forward and to share with us what you know. These homicides have deeply affected 2 grieving families, countless loved ones, and created concern for so many residents in the Victoria Beach area and the province of Manitoba.
Now, Mounties were pretty tight-lipped on details as this investigation is ongoing. They didn't provide a motive or why Thiebert was targeted.
Daniels, do Mounties suspect anyone else was involved in this shooting?
Well, Marilee, Staff Sergeant Sean Grunwald says investigators don't think anyone else was at the home when the shooting occurred. But as you heard, Mounties believe other people know what happened that night, and they're urging them to come forward.
All right. Thanks for this, Daniel. Manitoba's police watchdog is not recommending any charges against the officer who drove over and killed a woman at a Winnipeg park last year. The woman was laying on a gravel road leading to an encampment in Fort Rouge Park, according to witnesses and the 2 officers inside the cruiser. According to the IIU, the vehicle was driving only about 6 kilometers an hour with its headlights on at the time of the collision. But the darkness and the woman's dark clothing, along with the slope of the driveway, made visibility challenging. The toxicologist also noted the woman had a blood alcohol level high enough to render a person almost unconscious. Motorists who use Wilkes Avenue in Charleswood take note. There is a new set of traffic lights to watch out for.
Officially turn it on here, right? There we go.
City Councillor Evan Duncan flipped the switch to turn on the lights at Wilkes Avenue and Charleswood Road. Duncan says residential development in the area has led to more traffic, and the lights are needed to improve safety.
It used to just be a straight street through on Charleswood Road, and there was never any of this housing here. So as the Ridgewood South Precinct grows out, we're going to have to continue to look at these intersections, because all I hear from residents is they don't feel safe on this road.
Developer Qualico funded the full cost, about $350,000, as part of an agreement made with the city in 2011. The city will fund maintenance and operating costs estimated at $5,000 a year. All right, let's bring Colleen Brady now. Get a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. You're tracking some fog that could be troublesome for the commute.
It's possible. In patches all across Manitoba, really, there is the possibility we could see some fog develop overnight. So if you have any overnight driving, yes, that could reduce visibility, but that fog could last into the commute tomorrow morning. So just something to be aware of. Otherwise, aside from that, a pretty uneventful evening. a few clouds here and there, some clearing, but again, that's going to allow some of those temperatures to drop pretty low. We'll see some temperatures get below freezing here in the south as well as the north, or come very close to it, and winds are light, and we've had the rain that's come through, so that's why there is the potential for fog. Next door, northwestern Ontario, there's been both rain, freezing rain, as well as even some snow thrown in there out around Sioux Lookout. I'll have more details on that, and then a look ahead to the rest of the week and when temperatures will be warming up before too long. Let's take a look right now through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, it's cloudy, 4 degrees, winds out of the northeast at 7 kilometers an hour. The pressure's dropping and the humidity right now is 77%.
Thanks, Colleen. The grieving family of a Portage La Prairie woman killed earlier this year is preparing for a trip to Ottawa to meet with members of the committee looking at bail reform. 28-year-old Kelly Verwey died in a 3-vehicle crash in January. The man accused of causing the incident was charged with impaired driving and at the time had an active arrest warrant for failure to comply with conditions.
None of this brings her back, but I have 3 other children. I have daughter-in-laws, son-in-laws, I have nephews and their families, and I can't take another call like that. And just because it's happened once to you doesn't mean it won't happen again if we don't change these laws.
Verwey's mother, Michelle Best, says she wants to impress upon the committee the true cost of inaction on bail reform. Not only was her family devastated, she says her daughter's death had a profound impact on the community, noting some of the first responders knew her personally.
Kelly was very community-minded. She was an entrepreneur. She was a leader. She had the community at the center of her heart and was working diligently and hard to create a welcoming and wonderful city in Portage La Prairie.
Best says she's encouraged by the bail reform measures the Prime Minister announced last week, particularly the introduction of reverse onus bail for major crimes. A group representing hunters is taking the province and a First Nation to court after a literal roadblock stopped hunting season in its tracks. In early September, a roadblock was erected on Rice River Road by Bloodvein First Nation. At the time, Chief Lisa Young said the moose population is declining and hunters who are not from the First Nation are not welcome on its ancestral lands. The province responded to the blockade by creating buffer zones around the road and waterways. However, Manitoba Wildlife Federation says hunters are still being blocked. It wants the court to grant an injunction to stop it.
And the ultimate goal here is that, have the government realize that all Manitobans share in our provincial resources. And if we don't manage them properly and share in that they won't be here for future generations.
The chief of Bloodvein First Nation tells CTV News she's working with lawyers to fight the legal action and had no further comment. Ian Bushy, the Minister of Natural Resources and Indigenous Futures, says his government is working with the First Nations chief, MWF, and licensed hunters. An emailed statement from the minister to CTV News says conservative officers have been assigned at the check stop in Bloodvein First Nation throughout to help ensure fair and safe access to big game hunting areas on the east side of Lake Winnipeg during this year's hunting season. Bushy says he won't comment on the specifics as the matter is before the courts. Bad advice from the Canada Revenue Agency could be hitting your wallet. The Federal Auditor General says responses to individual tax questions from callers are only correct 17% of the time. And as CTV's Jeff Keel shows you, people could be losing out on benefits or getting dinged for making a wrong claim because of the errors.
Navigating through Canada's tax system can be daunting for the average person.
Ever since I was old enough to do taxes, just always had someone else to do it.
I'm not knowledgeable enough, and I don't have a problem in saying that either.
And it appears even staff at the Canada Revenue Agency may not be as knowledgeable as they should be. Canada's Auditor General says over a 4-month period this year, they placed 167 calls to the CRA asking questions. Responses to business tax or general benefits questions were right just 54% of the time. And responses to general individual tax questions were only correct 17% of the time.
Canadians have to voluntarily fill out their tax returns. I think they should expect to reach CRA and get accurate information.
That was pretty astonishing in how low it was. Pretty disappointing to hear.
Morgan Marshall is with Community Financial Counseling Services. The organization helps low-income people with their taxes.
Tax filing is the doorway to benefits.
She says getting the wrong tax information and then making a mistake on your form could cost you in more ways than one.
It can just take a lot of mental bandwidth to deal with, and then there can also be repercussions to that if you get something paid out to you that you weren't actually eligible for.
The Auditor General also found most callers to the CRA waited an average of 31 minutes. The union representing tax workers on the prairie says staffing levels are an issue.
The agency has laid off so many employees, so many staff, especially in call centers, and they're like inundated.
I'm not prepared to say we're going to cut. I'm not prepared to say we're going to add. We're looking at it. We're going to make service better.
Jeff Keel, CTV News Winnipeg.
More signs of trouble tonight in Canada's auto sector.
It's very heavy. I mean, yeah, it's very heavy.
How many workers at a plant in Quebec are out of a job as the tariff war fallout continues? That story when we return.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Winnipeg, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
Canadian resident return trips from the U.S. are down nearly 30% year over year in August. That's according to new data from Statistics Canada. It marks just the third time since 2006 trips to Canada from U.S. residents outnumbered Canadian residents traveling to the States, excluding the COVID-19 pandemic. StatsCan says Manitoba saw more American visitors this August than last, with an increase of about 8,000 people. Turning to the markets now, crude oil added $1.25. The Canadian dollar up about 1/10 cent. Gold lost $43, while the TSX gained 94 points. The Dow Jones fell 334 points. The Nasdaq down 213 points. A man is facing charges following a peculiar tire slashing spree in Selkirk. Mounties got several calls Saturday morning about slashed tires in and around the town northeast of Winnipeg. Officers found 45 slashed tires on 23 separate vehicles and say all of the vehicles targeted were red in color. Later that afternoon, police caught up with a suspect and took him into custody. A 44-year-old Winnipeg man is facing 23 mischief charges and one charge of possession of a dangerous weapon. RCMP say they have no explanation as to why only one color of vehicle was targeted, but anyone else who thinks they were a victim should give them a call. A group of students say it's time Wapcanoe makes good on a promise to reinstate health care for international students.
The Healthcare for All Coalition to call on this government to tell us when they're going to be reinstating healthcare.
A coalition of advocates, community organization, and students rallied at Canoe's constituency office today. The group says Canoe promised to reinstate health care benefits for international students during his last election campaign. The group says it's been nearly 2 years since the election and nothing has been done.
International students bring millions into the province. They are our neighbors, they are our volunteers, they are the people we work with, and it's just not fair and not very Manitoban-like for us to exclude such a large demographic who contributes so heavily in the province.
The former Conservative government removed health care benefits for international students in 2018. More evidence tonight of what the U.S. trade war is doing to the Canadian auto industry. A truck manufacturing plant in Quebec is laying off 300 workers. It comes just days after the U.S. imposed 25% tariffs on the import of medium and heavy-duty vehicles. CTV's Geneviève Beauchemin has the story.
The union says the 300 workers who were laid off are the latest victims in the tariff war raging between Canada and the United States. PACCAR assembles Kenworth and Peterbilt trucks, and this wave of layoffs here comes days after the U.S. imposed a 25% tariff on medium and heavy-duty trucks. There have been earlier rounds of cuts here, and for workers leaving at the end of their shifts today, this was a difficult day.
Oh, it's very It's very heavy. I mean, yeah, it's very heavy. Like it's the second time since not that long.
PACCAR is based in Seattle, and the company declined to comment today. But the union says PACCAR is refocusing on making trucks for the Canadian market, though it's much smaller. And while a year ago 92 trucks rolled off the assembly line here a day, that number is now down to 18, sparking concern as to the very survival of the company here.
Ça fait excessivement mal comme nouvelle ce matin.
The union is urging all levels of government to do their part and buy Canadian, become clients, and buy the trucks that are made here. For the city of Sainte-Thérèse, this is a big blow. This is the only major plant on its territory. And along with the hundreds of well-paying jobs that were lost, today there are hundreds more on the line in indirect labor. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Sainte-Thérèse, Quebec.
Police say the suspect in a murder of a Brampton, Ontario woman is dead. The woman's death led to an Amber Alert yesterday. The suspect died at a gas station in the Niagara region after an altercation with police. Earlier in the day, a woman was shot and killed, and her 1-year-old child was taken. That child is now safe. Police confirm the man who died was the man named in the Amber Alert, 38-year-old Anthony DeShepper.
So what precipitated that shooting is basically what the SIU is investigating. So that's why we're talking to any witnesses and trying to collect any video evidence. There was a firearm that was recovered at the scene that belonged to the male individual. But as far as what happened prior to the police firing the weapon, that's what we are investigating right now.
No police officers were injured. Ontario's Special Investigations Unit is looking into the incident. Israel has identified the bodies of 2 more hostages killed in an attack 2 years ago. Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance expressed optimism about the ceasefire today during a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
We're going to keep working at it. I didn't know what to expect, honestly. I know the president was here a week ago to welcome the hostages home and actually sign the deal. A week into it, there's a lot of work to do, but I feel very optimistic about where we are. So thank you for the partnership.
In the last year, we've had an unmatched alliance and a partnership with the United States. That is changing the Middle East, and it's also changing the world.
But Vance did admit challenges remain, including the disarming of Hamas and the rebuilding of Gaza. The bodies of the 2 hostages returned by Hamas have been identified. One of the men was a member of a community security squad. 4 vehicles were involved in a crash on a highway in western Uganda yesterday. At least 46 people were killed. Just after midnight, 2 buses were involved in a head-on collision when one of the drivers tried to pass several other vehicles. It's being called one of the worst motor vehicle incidents in Uganda in recent years. Fatal crashes are common in Uganda. More than 5,100 people were killed in road crashes last year. Ukrainian officials say Russia launched a massive drone and missile attack across Ukraine, killing at least 6 people. At least 8 cities were hit, including the capital, where 29 people were injured. The wider Kyiv region was also targeted, as well as Zaporizhia and a city in the southern Odessa region. The country's energy infrastructure was also hit, causing rolling blackouts. U.S.-led efforts to end the war have floundered, and Ukraine's president has appealed for more military help. The king has arrived in Italy for a 2-day state visit. The monarch landed in Rome today for a visit that will include praying together with the Pope at the Sistine Chapel. It will be the first time the leaders of the 2 Christian churches have done that since Reformation. King Charles will also be given a formal new title during the visit and receive recognition at a basilica with strong ties to the Church of England.
Thankfully, conservation officers acted super quickly. They were able to get her here.
New life for a wayward lynx. We'll tell you what's next for this rescued baby lynx and why it can't return to its home in nature.
And still a warm late October weekend on tap for Winnipeg in the sunshine too. Friday 11 degrees. I'm getting ahead of myself. Friday 11 degrees in the sunshine. I'm looking at this right here. 15 on Saturday in the sun. Clouding over on Sunday. Still another high of 15 degrees. Then we turn soggy once again. Monday, Tuesday, showers likely both days. A high Monday of 12 degrees up to 9 on Tuesday.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
The city of Winnipeg is looking to sell off some of its properties for $1 so the sites can be developed into housing for vulnerable Manitobans. Monday, the city's Standing Policy Committee on Property and Development approved an amended plan to sell some vacant sites for $1 each. It includes land on Stella Avenue, McPhillip Street, and Plessis Road. An application for Sherbourne Street was denied after residents voiced concerns about losing the public green space. The committee is also considering selling a site at Poisson Bay. The amended plan still needs to be voted on by the committee before going in front of City Council. An injured lynx will soon have a forever home after weeks of treatment at Wildlife Haven. The feline is being taken in by Assiniboine Park Zoo. And as CTV's Joseph Bernacki reports, her new name reflects her Manitoba origins.
This is Lumi. Her name means snow in Finnish.
We've just announced the lynx is in fact going to be transferred into care at the Assiniboine Park Zoo.
The 6-month-old cat is still recovering from a dog attack in August, where it's believed the pack likely killed her mother. Swan River locals drove 10 hours to bring her here to Wildlife Haven Rehabilitation Center, where they've been treating her injured eye, bringing in Manitoba's only veterinarian ophthalmologist.
Some of that damage is irreparable, unfortunately, and will require some pretty intensive surgeries and care going forward.
Luckily for Lumi, the road to recovery has been smooth so far. But she can't be released to the wild because her eye has developed a cataract, leaving her vision impaired.
She's been doing fantastic. Our team has done a lot of really good work in making sure that she's got all these enrichment items in her enclosure.
But she can't stay at the Haven forever, so Assiniboine Park Zoo staff answered the call.
They're able to work with us as a partner to transition this lynx into our care, where it can live a very fulfilling life as an ambassador for its species and connect with our community.
Enright said the zoo has a long history of looking after lynx. They lost their former cat Bijou earlier this year at 22. Enright calls lynx the ghosts of the forest.
They have these gigantic feet to walk on the snow, but most people, even those who spend time in the boreal forest, never get to see a lynx.
It's not clear when or if Lumi will be on display to the public. Enright said she will need more surgery, but she'll be well looked after. Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg police in West Winnipeg had an unusual call yesterday. Officers had to lasso 2 suspects that were on the loose in Charleswood. And here's why. Those suspects were 2 horses that were wandering throughout the neighborhood. They were seen near Wilkes Avenue, where, as you know, there is a lot of traffic in that area, and near a local high school. Officers worked with neighbors to corral them, and then the owners guided the horses home, complete with a police escort. With all the traffic and nearby farmland, along with the CN rail line, as you can imagine, this was a potentially dangerous situation, but we're happy to tell you the animals were safely restrained, no one was hurt, and the horses are home safe and sound tonight.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Well, good work to all the police officers involved in the horse retrieval. My big question, though, is when are we going to the zoo to see Lumi?
I know. Every day,
What a treat that's going to be for zoo visitors. Oh, so glad she's got a place to go.
Yep. All's well that ends well on the animal file
this
tonight,
week,
folks.
Not a bad time to go to the zoo either.
No, actually, the weekend, too, as I showed you, those temperatures sensational, up to 15 degrees Saturday and Sunday. Granted, it will be a little cloudier on Sunday, but did I say 15 degrees? Yeah, very warm for this time of year. Quite cool tonight if you are in the southwest. That's when you see some clearing, or where you're seeing that clearing happening already. Partly cloudy there tonight, dropping down to some of the coldest overnight lows across Manitoba. I'll show you that in a moment, but a little cloudier here in the southeast. Drier, though, it is in northwestern Ontario where the action has been, where again we saw rain and freezing rain around Dryden. Up in Sioux Lookout there, a bit of a flip over to some snow with the rain thrown in. But back up in northwestern Manitoba, that's where we could see much of the same. There's at least the possibility of rain showers or flurries, for that matter, all across the north tonight. But the chance, for the most part, is on the low side. Down here in the south, you can see it's clear out in the southwest. Temperatures will drop well below freezing there. A little bit more cloud cover here in Winnipeg in the southeast, but again, across much of the province tonight, as you'll see, there is the possibility we can see some fog. Into Thursday morning we go. We brighten up across the southeast as well as out in the southwest. Still a little cloudy for folks up in northern Manitoba, with the odd chance of some precipitation, mainly in the form of flurries, but a little bit of rain showers are possible as the temperatures get a little warmer during the day, of course. Overnight we go into Friday. Clouds stick around for the northwest, sunnier in the northeast, and sunshine all across southern Manitoba, east into northwestern Ontario, and that's when we really start to see those temperatures take off here in the south on Friday, up into double digits, taking us into the weekend. For tonight for Winnipeg, mostly cloudy, but again here, like most of the rest of the province, there is the possibility of fog developing overnight. We drop down to 0, light winds out of the northwest, even lighter, more variable winds for the commute tomorrow. Still around 0 around 8 o'clock, mix of sun and cloud otherwise. And again, it's possible, not a sure shot, but possible that there could be some fog patches. 7 tomorrow in the afternoon, that is the high for this time of year, mix of sun and cloud. Winds will pick up slightly and shift out of the southeast at 10 kilometers an hour. Cloudy for the most part across the northeast tonight over into Thompson, but again, fog is possible all around those areas as well. Temperatures getting down to the freezing mark, if not just a little bit below, and then tomorrow cloudy around the region, 4 for Thompson, Island Lake, Gillam 3 degrees, right behind in Churchill around 2. Now across the northwest tonight, much the same, cloudy with the chance of rain showers or flurries. It is a low chance, but watch for fog. Those temperatures right around the freezing mark. Clouds stick around tomorrow, highs between 4 and 7 degrees. In the southwest tonight, partly cloudy, and look at this, you drop all the way down to -4 right around the region, including in Brandon and Dauphin, a mix of sun and cloud there. But look at these temperatures tomorrow, 10, 12 degrees. Winnipeg in the southeast, we could see fog develop overnight. Our temperatures right around freezing, if not just below. Cloudy outside the city, more of a mix of sun and cloud in it, highs between 5 and 7. And in northwestern Ontario, some rain showers tonight with the possibility of overnight flurries. Cloudy there tomorrow too, with highs Thursday of 3 and 5 degrees. Our first weather photo takes us to beautiful Stony Mountain and a look at that beautiful fall tree. Those fall leaves, sure, those colors are nice this year, as they always are. That photo is from Darlene, and more fall photos take us out now to St. Agathe. That photo is from Solange. Email us your weather photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
The CTV Skywatch Pick of the Day is brought to you by MJ the Musical at Centennial Concert Hall, November 5th to 9th.
A windfall for first-year students heading to Winnipeg's Canadian Mennonite University. The facility is offering free dormitory housing for all first-year undergraduate students beginning next fall. CMU believes it's the first post-secondary school in Canada to offer such a program, which is open to both domestic and international students. It was made possible by the support of a single anonymous donor.
One of the things that we're really committed to is supporting our students in their academics, and we know that students thrive both academically and personally when they are supported in their education, and that's one of the things that our residence program does incredibly well.
The university notes the dorm building just finished a multi-million-dollar renovation, adding geothermal heating and cooling, new washrooms, and accessibility upgrades. Tens of thousands of Canadians have been found to be ineligible for benefits under the National Dental Care Plan. We'll tell you why. And
articles grounded in evidence, written in plain language, and reviewed by experts. Everything is designed to meet parents where they are.
From feeding to sleeping, a new website for new parents where you can find this valuable resource for mums and dads. Medical Watch is next. Call 911, shout for an AED, and start CPR right away. Those are just some of the new resuscitation and first aid guidelines released today. It's the first update in 5 years. And joining me now to help get us all up to speed is Jonathan Duff, Director of Pediatric Critical Care Medicine Training Program at the University of Alberta. Jonathan, good to speak with you.
It's great to speak with you too.
First, give us an idea of just how key AEDs are when it comes to cardiac survival rates.
Oh, they're so incredibly important. The guidelines spent a lot of time thinking about what we could do as providers in hospitals to help patients who've had a cardiac arrest. But the reality is that they haven't been effectively treated right at the scene with good bystander CPR and an AED applied as quickly as possible. Our chances of having a good outcome go down dramatically. I can't emphasize enough how important it is if you see somebody collapse to provide aid, call 911, yell for an AED, and start CPR.
Speaking of CPR, it's a big part in all of this, particularly when it comes to good outcomes. These new recommendations emphasize the importance of rescue breaths. What are rescue breaths and why are they important?
Rescue breaths have always been part of the guidelines. In the past, we've really tried to get people to do something. And if they were uncomfortable doing rescue breathing, so mouth to mouth, then at the very least, please just do compressions only CPR. But if you're willing, especially for infants and children, rescue breathing or mouth to mouth breathing is so critically important for their outcomes. So we want to encourage folks, if you are willing to do rescue breathing in somebody who's had a cardiac arrest in front of you, especially in an infant and a child, that can be so much better for their overall outcome. And people get nervous about that. It's like, well, I mean, that could be a stranger. But unfortunately, most times, if someone's going to have a cardiac arrest in front of you, it's going to be somebody you know. So we're just really encouraging, please do what you're willing to do. And if you're willing to do rescue breathing, especially in infants and children, we highly encourage that. What
if you don't have formal CPR training? Should you be nervous about that?
So first off, CPR is not a hard thing to learn, and Heart and Stroke Canada has courses everywhere, and we certainly encourage people to get CPR training. But if you don't have CPR training or you're not currently certified, you can still help. Call 911, shout for an AED. The AED will guide you through how it's used, and the 911 dispatchers are there to help you. They are there to talk you through the process. And if you're doing compression-only CPR, they can guide you as to how that can be done. If you've had somebody who's collapsed, who's not breathing normally or gasping, not responding, and you start CPR on them, you're not going to make them worse. You're not going to hurt them. So get on the phone with 911, yell for an AED. They will guide you through what are the next steps.
What about some other notable updates included in these new guidelines? What else should we know?
I think there's a few things that are going to largely affect people who work in hospitals, but for folks outside of hospitals, some of the things that have changed a little bit, guidelines for choking. We're really encouraging. In the past, it had just been, just sort of push on the chest or push on the abdomen if you're a bit older. And now we want people to do back blows in order to help try and dislodge foreign bodies that are there. The other thing that we're really focusing on, like I talked about at the beginning, is we want as many people as possible to be trained in CPR. We know that that's going to be the critical thing that helps patients get through a cardiac arrest if it's outside of the hospital. So teaching children, even children younger than 12, we've learned that they can learn the basics, and then we end up with a generation of lifesavers. And Heart and Stroke really wants to see everybody feel comfortable and confident about responding to someone who has a cardiac arrest.
Some important information. Jonathan, thanks so much for sharing it with us tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Happy to help.
There is a new resource to help new and expecting parents. The province today unveiled a new parenting website complete with more than 120 articles related to children's health and development. Topics include breastfeeding, safe sleep, mental health, and nutrition. There's also specific links for Indigenous and newcomer families. The health minister says it was developed by local public health nurses, early childhood experts, and others.
Before we created the site, we asked Manitoba parents what mattered most to them. And they told us they really wanted easy-to-read, evidence-based articles that reflected real-life concerns. The ability to search for the information by age, stage, and by topic. So that's exactly what we did.
Officials noted the articles on the website can be translated into more than 200 languages. You can find all of the details by heading to parentinginmanitoba.ca. About 70,000 Canadians have been found ineligible for national dental care. That's because of an error on how income was calculated for some applicants. Health Canada says after recalculating, about 70,000 people who were part of the plan were found to be ineligible. At least 28,000 of them had already received care. They won't have to repay coverage they received under the plan before October 24th. Notices, however, have started to go out to the people affected.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
It's an unusual flash mob involving cellos. While you may be surprised if you visit a Winnipeg cafe next Tuesday. Plus,
there's no talking whatsoever, no sound effects. All the sound that you're hearing is live from the orchestra itself.
The Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra plays the soundtrack to one of the first horror films ever made. Colleen has all those stories and much more next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Prism and Haywire.
The 10th annual Manitoba Country Music Awards are just around the haystack.
And you tied me to the tracks.
Manitoba's Doc Walker. Now, the duo is playing host for the event. It's Manitoba's biggest celebration of country music. The night features live performances and awards handed out for the best in the business. Last year was a sellout. It takes place Saturday, November 8th at Club Region Event Center. For more information and tickets, visit the Manitoba Country Music Association website. Plenty of films, both modern and classic, have had the orchestral treatment from the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, but the one debuting tomorrow night might just be the oldest. Just in time for Halloween, the WSO is showing off one of the first horror films ever made, the 1920 classic, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. It tells the eerie tale of a mysterious showman who arrives in a town with a performing sleepwalker. At the same time, a series of unsettling murders take place. What makes the performance especially unique is that it's originally a silent film and the score came later.
The composer who wrote it, he definitely added a lot of interesting elements to make the movie what it is, because there's no talking whatsoever, no sound effects. All the sound that you're hearing is live from the orchestra itself. And you hear areas where the sound is kind of demented and demonic to portray the villain, and then other livelier elements to portray the carnival, and that really is coming from the music.
The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari in concert runs Thursday and Friday evenings at the Burton Cummings Theatre. There's no more haunting sound, perhaps, than a cello. The International Cello Festival of Canada is in Winnipeg next week to celebrate its 25th anniversary. These are the kinds of performances you'll see. There are also master classes, a cello competition, and community events. Performances take place at the Des Hotels Faculty of Music at the University of Manitoba. And this is fun. On the first day of the festival, October 28th at noon, festival cellists will surprise audiences across the city with simultaneous performances in cafes and community centers. The festival runs from the 28th to November 1st. For information and tickets, visit agassiefestival.com. We'll put your knowledge to the test with the floor at 7. Shifting Gears follows at 8, and Catch the Amazing Race at 8:30. And Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage is on at 10. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
It's spooky season, and we're looking for a Halloween house to feature on CTV Your Morning Winnipeg. If you think yours fits the bill, you could win a $500 gift card from St. Mary's Nursery and Garden Center and have the chance to show off your Halloween house live on Your Morning Winnipeg on October 31st with a visit from Ainsley McPhail. To enter, head to our contest page at ctvwinnipeg.ca, fill out the form, and submit some pictures.
Now,
women's clothing provided by RW and Company. Salon services provided by S&Teak Spa Salon.
It's 4 degrees out there. It's cloudy, not so sunny. Winds out of the northeast at 7 kilometers an hour. If 4 seems cool, well, the highest temperature of the day was 5 earlier this afternoon. There we go. We dropped all the way down to -3 earlier. Normal high for this time of year is 7. 14.3 was our high temp on this day 1 year ago. Down to 0 tonight. Watch out for the possibility of fog into the commute tomorrow. Speaking of which, 7 degrees in the afternoon Thursday under a mix of sun and cloud. Sunny Friday, 11 degrees. Sunshine Saturday, 15 degrees, Marilee. Look at that. 15 again on Sunday. It's cloudy, but we'll take it. Showers to start off the week Monday, Tuesday.
Thanks, Colleen. Well, from mod cuts and shags to mullets and fades, a Manitoba barber has hung up his clippers after more than 6 decades in the biz.
Now they're cutting it too short as far as I'm concerned.
Meet 86-year-old Leonard Garachevsky. He started cutting hair 66 years ago, primarily at his barber shop in St. Rose de Lac, about 300 kilometers northwest of Winnipeg. And tonight, we are celebrating his retirement just a couple weeks after he gave his final cut.
I still miss it, but I know I can't do it, so I miss it very much. It's just missing people.
Garachevsky says it's always been about the customers and their loyal support. And if you're wondering, because we were, his favorite do of all time is a classic brush cut.
Oh.
Look at those happy customers.
Yeah.
Well, you will be missed.
Absolutely.
Enjoy your retirement, though. It is very well deserved.
It sure is.
All right. That does it for us tonight. Have a safe evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.